Hello and welcome to this eighth round of the BTCC 1996 Championship, hosted by HSO, where we are tonight coming from the Silverstone GP circuit. This is the 1996 F1 support race round of the championship, which is sort of fitting because of our 1991 F1 Championship running Silverstone just this Sunday. But for the time being, let's go through the standings before we join the circuit real time, with the top 5 standings after Brands Hatch being Peter Blom in the lead in his Honda Accord on 135 points. A sole point behind him is Grégoire Guinsin in his Volvo. He will sadly not be with us this evening. Brit Richard Coxon lies third in his Renault Laguna on 115 points, with Jan Titz in his four-wheel drive Audi in 4th position on 103 points. And in 5th, Jakob Fredriksson in his Vauxhall, who missed the last round but remained in the top 5, which I think he will be fairly happy with. And with the Vauxhall, I think he will be fairly good here tonight. Although we'll of course see later on tonight. Richard Wilkes lies still in 6th, now on 60 points in his Honda Accord. And David Yates, who sadly won't be with us for the rest of the championship, at least not constantly. He may join us from time to time because of work commitments. But he lies in 7th in the championship at the moment, only 1 point behind Richard Wilkes on 59 points. Yves Placet, who has seen an upswing in the last couple of rounds, lies in 8th in his BMW 320 on 43 points. Only 2 points behind him, Ricard Soania in the Nissan. He too is not racing with us due to school commitments. And in the overall standings is Matthias Weber in another Nissan. He's on 32 points. Just noticed that I'm having some frame drops, which is alarming because I haven't made any changes, but hopefully it'll work out. In the Independence Total Cup, Dave Simmons is in the lead here, although he unfortunately won't be able to race with us for the forthcoming couple of rounds due to a hardware issue with his graphics card. But he has amassed 169 points so far and has, with that, a 40 point lead in the championship, so he has at least some margin to work with, which is very fortunate for him, and let's hope he returns very soon. Honza Mild from the Czech Republic lies second in his Ford on 129 points, and our Norwegian Øyvind Andersen lies third in the venerable Toyota Carina on 102 points. And Mick Chapman, who has been having a fight in the championship with Øyvind since round 1, is in 4th at the moment, with 96 points in the second of the Team Dynamics Ford Mondeos. And 5th is ever present and ever consistent Simon Wattman in a Vauxhall Cavalier, and he is currently on 69 points. Apologies, I had to cut them, but let's join the circuit here. As soon as I can get my software to be where it should be, there we go. As we can just see, I think that's Ray Ridal in the number 2 Renault Laguna coming through there. And this is the Maggots and Beckett's. This is Beckett's where the 2 Fords is coming through, and up where the Nissan has just come through is Maggots. couple of very quick fourth. Well, technically, I'd assume these touring cars can go through maggots in fifth, and it's probably fourth or third in these two corners here. And here comes, let's see if we can see who that is. That's Peter Lavak. As we can see a roll in the background from one of the Ford Mondeos, probably Juha Boss, it is indeed, who were running with one of the Vauxhalls. So presumably he made a slight error, but let's see if we can find anyone to ride on board with. Let's go with one of the BMWs just for the beautiful sounds, where he has just come through. Okay, fortunately he has a spin coming out of, let's see, here's one of the Hondas, so let's ride on board with him as we check out the circuit. So coming up to turn 1, this is Cops. Looks like 5th gear for this Honda. Back up to 6th here, coming into maggots, this left-hander here. Now this he goes up on 2 wheels and misses the Beckett's curb. That's the right hand. As he also gets hit up the rear. So let's see if we can find someone else who's around that area. This Peugeot, I think, is indeed coming up to. So this is again maggots, this left-right combination. Then we have this left-hander where you don't want to hit the curb, and then we have Beckett's right here, and this is Chapel Curve, this small left-hander leading onto the hangar straight under the Shell Bridge. And here we build up to the highest speed of the circuit on this particular layout, into Stove Corner. Bit of bumpy on the entry, but really good fun. And now into Vale and Club. Vale is technically the straight there, but I also include this left-hander in that name. And now Club is this long opening right-hander. And then we go down to a left-right, which is called the Abbey Chicane, with a very menacing curb in this right-hander. Then this is a small farm straight and down into Bridge. Now into Priory, this left-hander here. And then directly into Brooklands. And then it's Luffield, this double left-hander, which is almost a single corner, just like Druids at Alton Park. And then into Woodcote, this long sweeping right-hander coming onto the start-finish line. So that's the circuit for us. Let's see who is currently in the lead in this qualifying. It's Peter Blom, to no one's amazement as such. Just coming through Club, I think, if I'm not entirely mistaken. It's indeed Club. Looked very stable there. And some of the drivers, as I mentioned earlier, is also taking part in the F1 1991 championship running on Sundays, and those who drove in that championship will have an idea of how to drive this Silverstone circuit, although the cars are completely different as such. Every bit of experience helps in these championships, where it can be very, very tight. And in second at the moment looks to be Yves Placé indeed, so he is having another good qualifying session at the moment, which is nice to see. It looks like he has finally been able to, well, technically all the BMW drivers has finally been able to find what makes these these 320i's fly. As we can see so far this lap, his car is seems very settled indeed. Not even in stow did he have any major issues. Although the car looked a bit jumpy, maybe he got the power down well and good. Bit of a lock up going into Priory. It's right in here in this complex where the BMW should be at its strongest, with the slightly mid-speed corners. Let's see if he's able to improve on this lap, which has looked very good. I think he may have done, no he didn't, although he was close to improving. But Richard Coxon has jumped up into second on the grid here. In his Renault Laguna. Also a car that should be fairly well suited to this circuit. Doesn't quite have the engine maybe down the straights, but the handling should be pretty decent. And I was just having a little play around on my end to see if I could solve the small issues that could occur. But anyway, his laps are looking good from what I can see. You see, fourth actually is Grant Riddell, who is racing in Greg's Volvo tonight. One of the one-off drivers for this event. I think there are a couple more, but I could be wrong. Oh, as we can see, Grant have a lot of trouble through Stowe, with the car bumping off the circuit entirely onto the runoff road, with a lot of dust and dirt being kicked up as a result. That sort of proves how well planted Yves' car were when we were riding on board with him through that corner. We were almost locking up the rears coming into the Abbey chicane there. But if there were ever a car to have a one-off in, I'd say the Volvo is a good candidate to be one of the better. Because it is such a fast car in a straight line, and as long as you can get the setup somewhat decently set up, you should have a good race either way. Let's see, Jakob Fredriksson is only, I say, but he's currently sitting in 6th, although his qualifying results are usually a bit more lackluster than his races. There are such drivers around, both in real life and in qualifying sessions as such. Some drivers are very good at qualifying, such as Ayrton Senna comes to mind, as well as if I can think of anyone else. I'm afraid I'm a bit out of touch as such. But then there's drivers that are really good in the races instead, such as Jan Cleveland always had good races, although he may not always have been good in the qualifying sessions, being a very calculating driver as such. Or as we can see, Ray getting up on 2 wheels, coming through the Maggots and Beckett's set of turns. And actually, this is nice to see. Miroslav Havlik has actually swapped cars since the last round or 2, with him taking over the total Team Peugeot entry after having left the Vauxhall Sport team. And in 10th is Alan Forster, but the qualifying session is over, so let's quickly see if anyone is out on a lap. Grant has just finished a lap and goes up into 3rd, so that's good for him. Jan Titz is coming around. We missed him while going through the grid, or the top 10 earlier. His teammate Philippe Martinelli is not here tonight, but Jan Titz is not able to improve, and I don't think anyone else in the top 10 is out on the track at the moment. Actually only 19 cars in the server at the moment, which is somewhat disappointing to see. But it looks like David Saber is taking the pole in the Privatier Cup in his Vauxhall. And on pole overall will be, yet again, Peter Blom. So big congrats to him, and he also has a massive lead, or gap maybe I should say, of almost 2 seconds to Richard Coxon, who himself has another 7/10ths of a second down to Grant Rudall in 3rd. So that's very interesting indeed to see such a difference between the cars. So while we are in warm-up, I'll take a quick break to get myself set and ready, get something to drink and so on, as I'm again on a bit of a tight schedule. So I'll put some music on while we wait. So talk to you in a couple of minutes time. And so we are back at Silverstone with round 8 of the 1996 BTCC Championship, where Peter Blom is again on pole position with Richard Coxon second and Grant Vidal third, Yves Placé fourth. And considering the immense gap that Peter Blom had to his competition, it's difficult to not suggest that he'll win this first race of the evening. It may get a bit closer in the second race, as it has been all throughout the season so far. And as Peter has suggested at times, it may be that he is able to put down a bit more practice compared to almost everyone else. Grégoire Aguasin being the exception to everyone else, more or less, with those two, well, at least Peter not partaking in the F1 Championship, but in the Kart Championship, running in next race actually in the Kart 1988 Championship will be held at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So if you're watching this and want to give it a try, the track will be released if it hasn't already. No, in about 5 or 6 days time, on the 1st of May, the thread will open for sign-ups for those who has requested to be on the sign-up list, the reserve list. But the track and cars are already available for testing. So if you feel like having a go and see what it's like, then jump over onto our forums and have a look. They are a real handful to drive, but really good fun when you get it right. But back to this evening's action, as we can see Peter Blom going on 2 wheels there, doing a good job of being able to avoid going on his roof. But looking down into the privateer battle, would seem like David Saber would be again quickest in qualifying, but we've seen already this season that qualifying pace and race pace doesn't necessarily equate to good race pace and race consistency, but you never know, maybe this event he'll finally get it all together and take a win in the race. And I think second in the Total Cup qualifying session was Øyvind Andersen in the Carina. So that's a really good result for him. The Carina being I think at least 2-year-old car, but still being relatively competitive. And Øyvind clearly is a pretty good steerer as well, having had a couple of podium finishes. Also, unfortunately, some offstat has caused him a bit of grief, but even at those times he's been able to have a good bit of fun with his fellow Scandinavian Simon Wortmann. Last round springs to mind, where Øyvind and Simon was fighting for position late on in the race, after Simon helped Øyvind to get back onto his wheels after Øyvind had an off at Paddock Hill. Let's see, Hansa Mild is here tonight. I wonder if Mick Chapman is... Yeah, I don't think he is... Yes, he is there. Yes, he is set a lap time. So we have 4 privateer cars here this evening. I noticed that One of the Privateer car drivers wrote on the forum saying that he was feeling a bit ill, so no, so that was not the Privateer class, that was Matthew Hull, my apologies, in the Volvo. As Simon Watman has just joined the server, it's nice to see that he'll be here to race, even though he wasn't able to be here for qualifying. It looks like currently quickest in the session actually is Yves Placé in the BMW. So maybe there will be a challenger to Peter Blom still in this event. But again, we'll probably have to see how it all turns out. And that sweet sounding Mondeo might have a good round here as well. It is a bit heavy in the front end, but that engine can't be denied to be one of the better ones in the championship, at least the grunt of it being of great help. And a bit of cones and everything being thrown up by Simon Watman and Miroslav Havlik, being at the same point of the track here in Maggots and Beckett's. It'll also be interesting to see what Jan Tits can do from his qualifying position. We've seen him go into the lead quite a few times during the championship. And we are now in the race session, just waiting for the whole grid to form up. And a beautiful grid it is, I must say. The cars look very nice indeed. As we set off on the formation laps, let's go through the grid. On pole we have Peter Blom. Second in the Renault Laguna is Richard Coxon. Third on the grid in the Volvo is Grant Riddell. Yves Placé lines up fourth with Jan Tits fifth, so he's in prime position, as is Yves, to be fair, to possibly take the lead going into Cops. Sixth on the grid is Matthias Weber in the Nissan, doing a good job with his lesser engine. Sixth, I believe, no, sorry, seventh is Jacob Fredriksson in the Vauxhall. Eighth is Ray Riddell in his Renault. Ninth is Miroslav Havlik in the Peugeot, so a bit of an upswing for the Peugeot team, having had a bit of struggles early on in the season. Tenth on the grid is Alan Forster in the second BMW. The third BMW in the hands of Peter Lavac lines up 11th. 12th for Richard Wilkes, probably feeling a little bit disappointed with that. 13th is David Saber in the first of Privateer Cup cars in the Cavalier. 14th is Mick Chapman in the Team Dynamics Ford. 15th is Øyvind Andersen in his Toyota Carina. 16th is Juha Boos in that Ford Mondeo. 17th for Honza Mild, struggling a little bit early on here, but I think he'll get up to speed fairly soon. 18th, Matthew Hull in his Volvo. 19th for Svenja Tits in the second of the Peugeots. And rounding out the grid is Simon Wattman in the second of the Mint team's Vauxhall Cavaliers. So back to the front of the grid. It'll be interesting to see what will transpire here, especially considering the pole position is placed on the outside of the track right here. So that will prove interesting going into turn 1 if Peter Blom isn't able to get a good enough start. It looks like everyone is more or less lined up. I can't actually get to see the lights, unfortunately, but the lights should be on now. Lights are on. And the lights are out and the race is underway. Looks like Peter Blom has had a decent start, as has Yves Placé coming up the middle of the front row. And it looks like he's going into the lead. Jan Tits looks to be second, possibly third. Jan Tits is indeed third, with Peter Blom holding on around outside. Looks like more or less everyone else gets through Copse okay, which is very nice to see. And going into Maggots and Beckett's, it's still Yves Placé in the lead with Peter Blom second, and everyone looks to be getting through just about okay with no contact made so far. A couple of locked tires is all, so that's a good thing, with everyone being very considerate towards one another to avoid any major mishaps. Jan Tits was defending there from Richard Coxon. Looks like Coxon wasn't able to get by. He has to slot back behind. It looks like there's a bit of side-by-side action in the Privateer Cup behind. But for now we'll follow the lead to see what happens right here. Oh, and two BMWs almost making contact going through club, with Alan Forster ahead of Peter Lavard still. Whereas Jan Tits has to do a bit more defensive work coming into the Abbey chicane. Looks like the battle for third is the hottest one at the moment. Apart from the Privateer Cup, where Øyvind Andersen has gone up into the lead after the start. It looks like Matthias Weber has had some kind of issue, because he's back at the back of the grid. But coming to complete lap 1, it looks like it's a group of 5 in the lead, with Yves Placé in first, Peter Blom second, Jan Tits third, Coxon fourth, and Grant Rydal fifth. And the one lagging behind just a little bit, the first of those lagging behind a little bit, is OS Grant Rydal runs very wide coming out of Copse. The one lagging behind is Jakob Fredriksson in the Vauxhall. When just ahead, Coxon has now gotten by Jan Tits. I apologize for missing that. Let's see, I'd assume it's because there was a mistake here or something. Coxon got a good run coming out of Copse. Oh, and Jan Tits actually hit the curb, had to brake to avoid going off there, and has to see the position. A bit of a lock-up from Yves Placé going into Vale and Club. Looks like he gets a very good run indeed out of the turn, so looks like the rear-wheel drive is really helping him. And Peter Blom, currently in the lead in the championship, and should be able to stretch his lead as long as he finishes the races. I don't think there's any major hurry to try and go for the lead right here. It looks like the Honda is very good through bridge, and a big lock up from Yves Placé, I think. Oh indeed, yes. Very close here between the two. The Honda right behind the BMW. Almost a bit of paint exchanged going through Priory. So let's see if Peter Blom may have a go right here. He may very well do. He does indeed. He goes up to the inside here. Oh, he drops back behind. He indeed is in no hurry to make a opportunistic move, but he gives Placé just a little bit of a bump coming out the cops to let him know that he's definitely still there. Oh, as Placé runs a little bit wide, coming through Maggots. Oh, but Blom hits the curb in the left-hander there and loses just a little bit of momentum. It looks like, oh, Grant Ridal has gotten by Jan Tits in the meantime. It's the very same place that where Richard Coxon got by Tits just a lap ago. So it looks like Jan Tits is really struggling through those fast corners as he looks up the inside going into Stowe, but is not able to get by. Looked like there were a bit of a battle going on here, but looks like Placé for the moment is able to hold on. Well, it looks like Peter Blom has finally got his tires up to temperature. Let's have a quick look behind. Fredriksson is still in 6th, with can't tell which of the BMWs that is. Lavac in 7th, Ray Ridal 8th, Alan Forster defending from Miroslav Havlik in 9th and 10th respectively. Oh, Havlik actually gets up the inside in the Abbey chicane and goes by. And here comes Juha Boos to have a go at Alan Forster, and Alan Forster has to cede another couple of positions to Boos, and looks like Alan Forster is actually having some kind of issue right here. He's slowing a lot, so that's unfortunate. But in the Privateer Cup, it's still Øyvind Andersen in the lead, with now David Saber right behind him. Mick Chapman, I think that is. Honza Mild actually has stopped back a little bit. I'd assume Mick Chapman has stopped back even more than Simon Wattman there, and there is Mick Chapman, so that's the top 5 in the Privateer Cup. So let's get back up here. Looks like Jan Tits is challenging Grant Ridal for 4th. Oh, this is... ooh. Just about avoiding contact, the two of them. Nice racing there though. On a bit of a notch from Jan Tits forces Grant wide. Jan Tits for the moment doesn't take advantage of it. And up ahead here we can see that there's still a bit of a battle going on between the top 3. Also interesting to see the differing lines come through club. We could see that in the F1 Championship as well, where some took a very wide line, others took a very tight line, and some took the middle. Looked like right here we had 2 taking the very tight line and 1 taking the middle line. On a bit of dust being sprayed up, being thrown up from ears, going very wide into church. Oh, and here comes. Oh, just about. I think Richard had a bit of a think about sticking his nose up the inside of Peter Blom for a second there, but he decides discretion is the better part of valor and stays behind for the time being. When he was being sideways through cops, this could leave an opportunity for Richard Wilkes going into Maggots. I think he's up side by side with Yves Placé here. Yves Placé scores him. Ooh! Eves really didn't want to see the position there, escorted Richard just a little bit wide. I know that feeling, having been lapped quite a few times in the Sunday race in the F1 Championship. That is not a place to go side by side, but all the guys here is able to do it so far, which is very nice to see that the racing is good, as Peter Blom has a bit of a look up the inside into Stowe. Richard Coxon getting right up behind Peter Blom here. Oh, and right behind there we can see Jan Tits has gotten by Grant Ridal. Oh, and getting really close here. The Honda is really quick down the straight by the looks of things, and has good runs out of the turns. But Eves is a good defensive driver, so in a bit of a lag spike. But it looks like Blom was looking up the inside. I don't know if there was contact or just the BMW being a bit loose, but it looked like there were a bit of a tank slapper going on for Eves, but he was able to hold on to it and the lead at the same time. Peter has another run on Eves here, but tucks in right behind the Frenchman, trying to get a run out of Copse, but doesn't look like he has it this time around. I think you can see a slight difference. Blom's Honda is able to stay very tight in some of these turns, while Eves is running just a little bit wider, so looks like Peter has the stronger car at the moment, as he looks up the inside into Stowe. I think he's through. He is indeed. Can Eves do Eves have any reply? Looks like he's going to try up the inside into Vale. Oh, just about. No contact made by the looks of things. Only's looking up the inside, a bit of a nudge, gets a bit sideways. Going through club right here, but he is up the inside and side by side with Peter Blom. Now on the outside, coming into the Abbey chicane. So he'll have to be very late on the brakes, but looks like Peter Blom is the one later on the brakes. Oh, Eves gets sideways. Owen Coxon gets up the inside, and I think, yep, he's up in the second, and Eves falls back to third. Owen Eves looks up the inside. Ooh, Coxon leaves a good bit of room though to facilitate Eves trying to go for the inside there, and I think this battle is more or less set for the time being. Well, for fourth, looks to be heating up, and with the battle up ahead, these two has been able to close in. Oh, and Peter Blom is actually slowing down. Well, that's interesting. Did he feel that he took the position unsportingly, maybe? Or is he experiencing some kind of issue? Difficult to say. Oh, as Richard Coxon runs wide, this gives Eves a little bit of a chance. Going into Maggots. Oh, side by side. Oh, just about gets through without running too wide. Eves tries for the cutback, trying to get a good run. Maybe got a bit of a nudge from Peter Blom there. Difficult to say for sure, but Eves is going the very wide line round. Yep, Peter Blom is definitely having some kind of issue, because he's very slow down the straights. Oh no, and Eves places up on two wheels, into the gravel he goes, but luckily he didn't end up on his roof, and he will be able to continue. Although quite a bit behind top 5 now, unfortunately. He's even down to 6th, because Jakob Fredriksson was able to get by. So this scrambles the top 5 quite a bit, with Richard Coxon now in the lead, Jan Tits second, Grant Ridal up to third, Peter Blom with a bit of some kind of issue going on down in fourth, and Jakob Fredriksson in 5th. 6th for his Placé, who will try to regain the time he's lost. 7th for Peter Lavac with Ray Ridal 8th, Miroslav Havlik 9th, and Richard Wilkes in 10th. You have both just outside the top 10 in 11th, and 12th for David Saber, who has gotten by and shaken off Eivind Andersen here. Looks like he has probably a 5, maybe even 10-second gap here. And Matthias Weber trying to make his way up the grid in I think 15th position. With Mick Chapman in 3rd in the Privateer class, Honza Mild 4th, and that's Svenja Titz, Matthew Hull. It looks like Simon Watman unfortunately is out, as is Alan Forster. So that's very unfortunate indeed, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. It looks like Matthew Hull is getting out of the way for Yus Placé in the background. I just want to see if it could be that he's missing a gear or something. Definitely is some kind of issue going on, because comparatively speaking he's very slow. That's Jakob Fredriksson, who's just gotten by, who was very far behind just a couple to 3 laps ago. As we are about halfway through this race now, just starting lap 8 of 15. And there we can see the Volvo straight line speed coming to its prominence, especially the 5-cylinder 2-liter engine pulling Grant quite close to Jan Titz's Audi going down the Hanger Straight, but Jan's 4-wheel drive clearly gives him a bit of an advantage coming out of club. Looks like Richard is more or less in the lead, trying to control. Oh, he's actually made a mistake going through a bridge. Oh, and almost contact between Vidal and Titz. Although could have been both making the same kind of mistake, but not entirely sure. Obviously, Jan Titz runs a little bit wide. Looks like he got a good run, so I think both of them got a bit startled by Richard Coxon making that small mistake, so that's what caused their own mistakes. But Ran Rudal is really close to Jan Titz now. He could possibly look for a way past right here. Jan Titz clearly states, I'm going for the left-hand lane. And Grant stays out of it, has to not hit Jan's rear bumper. Always Grant runs wide through Beckett's, shortcuts the Chapel Curve, I don't think he should even try to look for a move here, seeing as he cut the corner, but he still looks for the pass. Looks like Tits ran a little bit deep on the brakes, taking the inside line, as they are now side by side going down to Whale. Oh, actually a bit of side by side contact. Tits going sideways, but it looks like he is able to hold on with this better drive coming out of Club. And this hands Richard Coxon a almost a second, possibly 1.5 seconds, right there, because of these two battling between one another. Jakob Fredriksson still in 4th. Yves Placé has gotten by the wounded Peter Blom and is up into 5th. 7th looks to still be Peter Lavac, with Veiridal still 8th. Richard Wilkes has gotten up to 9th, so he's been able to pass Miroslav Havlik in the Peugeot. And next in line to try and give the Peugeot a run for its money, and Havlik of course, is Juha Bors in the Mondeo. So this looks like a possibly very interesting battle right here, seeing as the top 3 battle has calmed down just a little bit. We can hear how careful Juha is having to be with the Mondeo, with all the torque and the general misdemeanor of the handling of the car. Down this straight, he's closing in, not quite as much as I would have expected on the Peugeot. Looks like all 3 of these guys are somewhat closing in on Ray and Peter up ahead, who is having a battle of their own, which is also very close indeed, for 9th and 10th. And these two actually swapped cars, I just remembered. Veiridal was driving the BMW up ahead, the number 22, for the opening 6 rounds, 5 or 6 rounds, and Peter Lavac was driving this Renault. But with Peter not being overly happy with the front wheel drive, as we can see them both closing in on Peter Blom, who takes a wide line through Copse to leave room on the inside as he runs wide over the curbs. And this gives an opportunity for Ray to attack as Peter Blom comes back on the road. As we can see, Peter Lavac having to brake to avoid hitting the Honda up the rear. Here comes the Renault. Ray looking for a way up the inside of Peter Lavac, but decides to stay back and look for an opportunity a little bit later, although I think he will have to hurry up just a little bit soon, because there's only 3 laps left at the end of this. You can see the battle now closing up between Havlik and Bors. And right behind we can see David Sable still in the lead in Privateer class. See David Anderson still in 2nd. doing a very good job. And I believe that would be Mick Chapman. So Hansa Mild has dropped back. There he comes in the second of the Team Dynamics Fords. As Matthias Weber gives Mick Chapman a bit of a shove coming through the Abbey chicane. Presumably the Nissan has or should have a high mid corner speed through there, so I think it was just a bit of a misunderstanding and a bit of a miscalculation. Let's get back up here, have another look at these battles, and up towards the lead. Peter Blom up on 2 wheels. Looks like he's actually been able to gap the guys behind again, so maybe he has misfueled or something then. Surely there was some kind of issue for him early on. It looks like Richard Coxon has a big lead now with Tits and Grant fighting, or a bit of contact there. Grant trying to run round outside of Jan Tits, but he's unable to pull it off. So we can see Grant very sideways going to Priory. Now on the grass, so he'll probably be sideways again. Actually, not as sideways as he was previously. And apologies for hitting the mic there. Would seem that Grant is probably just a little bit quicker than Jan, but being able to catch is one thing, passing is a completely different one. Especially around Silverstone, where it's most of the turns are very quick or a bit how should I put it, badly shaped in terms of trying to make a pass. But again, he gets very close going into Vale, so maybe he'll... Unfortunately for him, the 4-wheel drive of Jan is still pulling the German quite well coming out of club. So I think Grant will have to find somewhere else to pass. I'd assume Stowe would be the best place for him to try it, but yet again it'll be difficult to know for sure. As we unfortunately have another retiree in the form of Matthew Hull. I thought Grant was going up the inside then. As we are now, I think, coming on to the final lap of the race. With Richard Coxon still in the lead, having led since about halfway, after Peter Blom ran into issues and Yves Placé was passed by both Blom and Coxon. The battle for second might be settled, though we'll see how it all goes on, and if either of them goes off, then Jakob Fredriksson is almost perfectly placed to take advantage of it. Well, it looks like Grant should have a run here, so he might go for a move down into club, he dummies him. He does a kind of Swedish shuffle down there. Bit of side-by-side contact. Oh, but the drive of the Audi pulls Jan Tits up the inside, yet coming out of club, and he retains his position. But that was a great opportunistic half dive from Grant, but he's up outside again. See if he can maybe make Jan make a bit of a mistake. It looks like he has. Grant is up outside, going in towards bridge. He may be able to hold on around outside here. Oh, that is brave. Oh, but he's been able to hold it. Can he get the braking done as well? He can. Does Jan do the switchback again? He tries. I think a little bit of contact there, but nothing on towards. And Grant holds the position. But here comes Jan up the inside into the second bit of a left field. Grant tries to do the cutback, but he's not able to do so. But what a fight for the last bit of the race here. Richard Coxon takes the win. With, I think, let's have a quick look at what happened back there. Brian Vidal actually takes the win, takes second place, sorry. Gets a good run out of Laffield, and that grants him second place. Jan Tits gets third. Jakob Fredriksson fourth. Yves Blaset gets fifth after fighting for the lead early on. Peter Blom holds on to sixth, with Richard Wilkes seventh. He had a good ending to his race. Peter Lavac 8th, over a bit of contact there. Juha Bors gets 9th, with Miroslav Havlik 9th. And here comes Ray Redal down in 10th. Oh, he's had an off somewhere. A very badly damaged Renault he finishes the race with. 11th, and top in the Privateer class. What happened to David Saber? Eivind Andersen gets the win in the Privateer Cup class. What happened to David Saber? Mick Chapman gets 2nd and 12th overall. 12th overall. Matthias Weber gets home in 13th. 3rd in Privateer class is Hansa Mild. 4th is David Saber. So whatever happened to him there? That's very strange indeed. Svenja Tits is coming around the last complex here in 17th position. Getting around the last turn and comes up to the start-finish line to finish her race. See if there's anyone else still running as well. No, Svenja Tits is the last run in 17th. So 17 finishers of 20 starters. That's a good result for all the participants, I'd say. So congratulations to Richard Coxon taking the win, and to Grant for his one-off drive, coming home 2nd here. Jan Tits for 3rd. So we'll have a short break here to savor the finish of the race and the battle that was. And when we get back, we'll have a look at the second qualifying session and see if anyone wants to have a chat. So talk to you in a bit.
Attention grid, will all non-essential personnel leave the grid now?
and welcome back to this HSO organized BTCC 1996 championship from Silverstone GP, round 8 of the championship, where we've just seen Richard Coxon take the win. Some notes of issues that I was able to find reasons for was Peder Blom, who was fighting for the lead early on, had a sticking throttle, and for that reason sometimes had no power. So he has restarted his computer. Hopefully he'll be able to get that sorted. And David Saber, who was in the lead in the privateer class, had to pit for fuel, unfortunately. I think that would have been with 1 or 2 laps to go, so that's very unfortunate for him. And yeah, it's just anyway, back to the action. We are in qualifying with Richard Wilkes just flying through here. Here comes one of the BMWs coming through Maggots and Beckett's. And here is, I think, David Saber, EFC it is, and here comes Grant Riddell. One of the Peugeots, I'd assume it's Miroslav Havlik. And then it's one of the Privateer Fords, and here comes Timo Wattman, Juha Bors, Ivan Andersson, here comes Jan Titz in the 4-wheel drive Audi. And Ray Riddell in the Renault Laguna, and here comes Svenja Titz in the Peugeot. So let's see if we can find anyone to ride on board with. Well, let's have a quick ride on board with Simon Wattman, see what kind of antics, maybe not since he ran wide. Let's run on board with one of the BMWs then. I'm not entirely sure who it is, as I unfortunately can't read names at the bottom. Oh, my apologies. There we go. Now you can see what I'm seeing as well. So we are on board with one of the BMWs, as I mentioned, going into the last complex. Looked like a decent run through the last complex. The first part of the Luffield, it looked like he understeered a little bit, but other than that it looked good. It was Eves, so that should put him fairly high up on the grid. Currently pole position. Grant Riddell just a 10th and a half behind, half a second behind Eves. Currently is Jacob Fredriksson, as the rest of the time starts to stream in. And also riding on board with Matthias Weber, he unfortunately had a lap 1 flip over, or possibly more flip overs, considering how he stated how it happened, or what had happened, I should say. So that's very unfortunate, but hopefully he'll be able to have a better second race. After all, he was able to qualify, I believe, in 6th or 6th position in 4 race 1. So he definitely has the pace. It's just a question of having a bit more luck in this second race. The car definitely looks good for this Maggots and Beckett's combination, though he, as I mentioned during the race, lacks a bit of engine power. He even feels that the Toyota Carina is a faster car in a straight line, which is an interesting view on things. Talking of the Toyota Carina, let's ride on board with Ivan Anderson for a little bit. See how he's getting to terms with this second qualifying session.
User joined your channel.
As we are now joined by Peter Blom. Good evening.
Hey Jonatan.
I read what had happened to you. Could you maybe elaborate on what happened? Have you been able to solve it first and foremost, maybe?
Yeah, after about 6 or 7 laps I noticed I lost power coming out of corners. And then I suddenly realized I had a problem with the pedals. And I just after the race I disconnected from the game and I tried to clean the pedal. Maybe there's a little bit of dust inside, I don't know, but well, you know, they're only 1 year old, so I hope they are not dirty inside. Will fuck up my races.
Yeah, it would definitely be the case. So yeah, let's hope that's not what's going on as such. Well, if it is going on, then it would be maybe an easier fix than if they are completely broken. But
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead. Okay. Well, up until that point, it looked like you were having a very good race indeed, fighting for the lead with Yves and Richard.
Yeah, Yves had a very good start, and I did not want to take a lot of risk to pass him, because he was driving very good. And so I bought my time. I was waiting for a mistake by Yves, but he didn't make a mistake for like 6 or 7 laps. And meanwhile, Richard Coxon was pulling me in as well. So it was a 3-way battle for a few laps. It was quite fun. But after the lap after I passed Yves, I noticed I had a pedal problem, and I had to let him go. And I was pretty bummed by that, because you don't expect, you know, problems with your steering gear or pedals during a race. So
Yeah, certainly. I've only experienced problems outside of race sessions. I've had it in qualifying as such, but never in the race. So I can understand the frustration that you must be feeling at the moment.
yeah. Well, I hope I just did my qualifying lap. I think it's a pretty good lap, but I noticed I did not have any problems now. So I hope maybe it was just you know, a wire from my pedals into my steering wheel. Maybe it was not connected very well. I have no clue, but it seems to be responding very well now. So I'm hoping I can win the second race then.
That's good to hear that it would seem to be solved.
Yeah.
So I think we'll say good luck, and let's hope for as fun first race as second race, but without issues, obviously.
Yeah, have fun. Well, you also have fun, and I hope it will be a good race for the spectators.
If race 1 is anything to go by, it'll certainly be a good race.
Okay, see you after the race then.
Yep, thank you for joining me, and again, good luck.
Yo, thank you. Bye.
User disconnected from your channel.
So that's Peter Blom, as you heard, pedal issues during the race. Hopefully, as he himself said, it'll be solved now. Also noticed that I noticed that the second Honda is currently lying in third position with Richard Wilkes behind the wheel, so that's a nice improvement for him, having qualified, I think, 11th for race 1. So he will surely be hoping for a better qualifying session, and his race pace seemed to be decent. I think he finished 7th in the end. So maybe if he qualifies further up the grid, he'll have a better chance at fighting for maybe even a win here. Yves Placé currently sitting in 4th in the BMW. Again, having a good session here, and as long as he stays probably within the top 6, he will have a chance at taking the lead off the line with his rear-wheel drive traction, like he did in race 1. And fifth, currently is Jakob Fredriksson. So again, having a good qualifying session, and having finished 4th, I'm sure he will be hoping for another good finish in the second race. 6th at the moment is Jan Tits, so he will be maybe a little bit disappointed not being further up the grid. And 7th would look to be Grant Ridal in the Volvo, having a bit of a lesser qualifying session here compared to race 1, or qualifying 1 I should say, but he has the speed, so if we can always get a lap together, I'm sure he'll be a bit further up the grid yet. And 9th at the moment is Matthias Weber, so he is having a decent qualifying session as well. I think he qualified 8th or 9th for the first race as well. And 10th currently is Ray Ridal. So I believe it's father and son both having a good qualifying session here. Overall, with both being in the top 10. 11th, Juha Boos yet again. Our almost, it feels like forever 11th in the championship. In his Ford Mondeo. Let's see, first in Privateer, if we can find them, is currently Mick Chapman, heading for pole here, but still a bit of the session to go, so can still change. But he's doing a good job this evening, finishing 2nd in the first race and qualifying, I think, 3rd for the first race. In class, of course, I think he was something like 15th on the grid overall. Ivan Andersen currently sitting 2nd in the Privateer class in his Toyota, winner of the first race. So he would have stretched away just a little bit from Mick Chapman in the championship fight for 3rd in the Total Cup. Hansa Mill currently sitting 3rd in the Privateer Cup, 2nd place in that championship. And Simon Watman is 4th. See, looks like David Saber isn't in the session at the moment. So that's, no, he is there. He's actually currently on pole for the Total Cup yet again, doing a good job in the qualifying sessions, but unfortunately, like in the first race, having issues of different variety during the races, causing him to be unable to pick up wins. I don't think he's won a single race in the Total Cup yet, though I could of course be wrong in that regard. But still heading for pole here is Peter Blom, currently closest to heading. Actually, the session is over. I think Grant Ridal was able to start his lap in time, currently sitting 3rd. So let's see if we can ride on board with him and see if he can make any improvements. Very late on the brakes into Vale, and he quits his attempt. So I think that will be almost everyone. Here comes Richard Wilkes, currently in 5th. So let's see if he is able to improve on his qualifying time. No, he isn't, and it's actually Matthias Weber has gotten up into 4th on the grid. So that's very impressive indeed, after having qualified 8th or 9th only I say, but yeah, in the for the first race. Jan Tit's actually only in 8th at the moment. So that's, I think he'll be disappointed with that. Ray Riddell is coming around to try and finish his final attempts. Let's see if he's able to improve. He isn't, so David Saber takes the pole in the Privateer class. And yet again on pole for the second race, I think the third or fourth race in a row for Peder Blom overall. So as we prepare for the second race of the evening, I'll take another quick break to rest my voice, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes time. And welcome back to this BTCC 1996 championship hosted by HSO. Coming to you tonight from the Silverstone GP as we are almost ready to head into the second race of the evening. With Peter Blom yet again taking pole position after his pedal issues in race 1, which hopefully will have been solved. And now I can't even remember who got second on the grid, so I apologize, but anyway, if race 1 is anything to go by, the racing should be excellent. And with I think, and with more or less 5 guys battling for the lead in the first race, looks like anyone can take the win here tonight. I'll especially be looking forward to seeing Matthias Weber a bit further up the grid again after him having been a bit further down since the Thruxton event in round 4. And it'll also be interesting to see whether David Saber can finally take a win in the Privateer Cup Championship after having come very close in several races this season, taking pole position in I think every race he's entered. I think we are just about ready to head into the race.
Attention grid, will all
Yes, we are indeed, as that voice signals. As we again look for the grid to form up. As we yet again, as I mentioned earlier, has Peter Blom on pole position. Richard Coxon got second. Grant Ridal took third, with Matthias Weber surprising most of the guys around, I think, with fourth on the grid. Fifth for Richard Wilkes in the second Honda. Fifth for Yves Placé. Sixth for Jacob Fredriksson. 7th for Jan Titz, 8th for, sorry, that should be 9th, right? Yeah, sorry, 9th for Ray Ridal, and 10th for Juha Boos. He was able to improve in the end, from 11th to 10th. Peter Lavac is 11th with Miroslav Hablik 12th, 13th, and pole in the Privateer class for David Saber. Alan Forster, I think that would be. Yes, indeed, in 13th, with 14th for Mick Chapman, second in the Privateer class. 16th and third in the Privateer class for Eivind Andersen, with Hansa Mild 4th and 17th overall. Simon Wattman is last in the class in 5th, 18th on the grid, and 19th for Svenja Titz. So we are unfortunately missing Matthew Hull for this second race. I'd assume he's feeling not too well, so that would be the reason why he's not participating in this second race. Which is unfortunate but understandable, considering it takes some level of concentration and stamina to partake in this kind of hobby. But hopefully he'll be back for the next round. So we have 19 cars to round up the grid here, with Peter Blom just now parking it. Richard Coxon parks it there, and we can see Grant Ridal taking a very aggressive position right there, angling his car just a little bit to try and look up the middle of Coxon and Blom if he gets a good start. It looks like everyone has more or less lined up here, and the lights are on. Oh, we have a jump start, I think, for Richard Wilkes, but the race is underway. Oh, we have one of the BMWs heading into the pit lane at once, but Peter Blom holds on to the lead going through turn 1. Coxon second and Grant Ridal third. Grant is looking up the inside of Coxon, but it looks like everyone gets through Cops okay, but side by side Coxon and Grant Ridal. Ridal up onto the curb and running wide through maggots. But I think everyone was able to get through maggots and beggars as well, more or less okay, so that's good to see. It looks like the battle is on at around 10th and back. Also Grant Ridal having a bit of a look on Richard Coxon. It looks like everyone is getting through. So we have Blom in the lead, Coxon second, Ridal third, Placé fourth, and I think Jakob Fredriksson fifth. No, sorry, Matthias Weber fifth, and Jakob Fredriksson sixth. But everyone in a line behind everyone, apart from one of the Peugeots lagging behind just a little bit. Just behind we can see Wilkes and Bors in a bit of a battle. Wilkes runs up onto the curb and Bors looks up the inside. Oh, a bit of contact, side by side contact, and Bors and Jan Titz gets past Richard Wilkes. Oh, and just up ahead we can see a bit of side by side action for, as we can see Richard Wilkes heading into the pits in the background. With side by side for Matthias Weber and Yves Placé. Oh, and Jakob Fredriksson trying to end up behind Yves Placé there, but gives him a bit of a bump, almost, but he unsettled him just a little bit as Bors and Ray Ridal runs wide through Cops. Looks like Peter Blom for now is in a safe lead, having a bit of a gap to the rest. We can see that the Ford is definitely good down the straight, but here comes Jan up the inside. And it looks like he's taking the position. Unless Bors has a bit of a try down into Vale and Chappell as just behind, we can see side by side action as well between Weber and Ridal. So Weber has had a bit of an issue somewhere by the looks of things, because he's now back in I believe in 9th or something like that. So that's unfortunate. Havlik looking up the inside, thinks better of it and backs off. So Weber has definitely had a moment somewhere and dropped back. But hopefully he'll be able to. He looks up the inside of Ray Ridal going into Priory. When Coxon is looking up the inside of Grant Ridal here, Grant goes for the cutback going onto the front straight, but isn't able to get a good enough run out of the turn. We can see up ahead here, Peter Blom has a massive lead, probably a good 5 seconds now, as Ridal and Coxon go side by side into Cups. Coxon trying for the cutback as Ridal runs wide, as does Jakob Fredriksson behind in the fight with Jan Titz. And this invites Yves Placé into the battle for second here. Fredriksson did indeed lose out to Jan Tits. So let's see here, they are side by side, maybe even a bit of contact there. You can see Grant got past. It looks like Eves did not manage to get by Richard Coxon here. He indeed wasn't, but he's still in close contention here. As Vidal has a bit of a moment going through the Abbey chicane, but maintains a decent bit of speed. Oh, a bit of big lock up into Priory. Runs a bit deep. Oh, as Coxon is up on 2 wheels, heads onto the grass, so this means Yves Placé is now up into 3rd, with Coxon down to 4th. No, actually he's down to 5th, because that's Jan Tits who's also gotten by. No, sorry, he's down to 5th. My apologies. It's easy to forget when that there's one in the lead when Peter Blom has such a massive lead, but Jan Tits runs wide into Cops, or through Cops I should say, and Coxon gets by very sideways through Maggots, but holds on to the position. Looks like David Saber is still in the lead in the Privateer class with Simon Watman right behind him. It could be the other way around, but the two Mint Motorsport Cavaliers, 1st and 2nd in the Privateer class. That's a good result for the team. Oh, a bit of a nudge from Jan Tits on to Richard Coxon here, telling him that he's right behind him and will be looking for a move. If he gets the opportunity. Oh, as Vidal yet again runs across the big curb coming out of the Abbey chicane. Owen Placé had a bit of a look into Priory. Big lockup, trying to avoid contact. But it's now a 4-way scrap here for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. So this should be a good bit of fun to watch as Coxon leaps onto 2 wheels momentarily, hitting the inside curve in the second part of Luffield. Ooh, Jan Tits having a bit of a look into Cubs, but that's not really a place to pass. As we can see, Yves Placé getting very sideways up ahead, trying to put the power down, coming out of Beckett's. And again a big lock up and a sideways action from Yves. Looking to be a bit more ragged and on the edge. Ooh! Oh, very late on the brakes for both Coxon and Placé. Coxon getting way out of shape when he jumped on the brakes. Looked very dangerous indeed. And Jan Tits has a bit of a look up the inside of Coxon, but doesn't go for it, and looks like Ray Ridal is able to rump away a little bit with 2nd place here. Yves Placé goes up the inside. Sorry, not Yves Placé. Jan Tits goes up the inside of Coxon going into Priory, but Coxon holds on around outside. And Placé was able to hold on, but Placé parks the bus in Luffield and is able to retain his third position for the time being. Although he's under very heavy pressure now from both Coxon and Jan Tits. Tits showing himself in the mirrors of Coxon and Placé. Looks like Coxon has a good run coming out to Copse, so this will be interesting to see if they can go two wide here. Oh dear me. Oh dear, oh. Keep it sensible, fellas. And they are both onto the grass, I think. They are indeed. So Jan Tits goes by, and here comes Jakob Fredriksson, gives Yves Placé a bit of a nudge, and this is looking very close. Jakob Fredriksson up the inside, looking to take third position as Placé looks up the inside of Fredriksson. Very late on brakes. Oh, and there's that's Ray Riddell. So Ray Riddell has had some kind of issue as well. Jan Tits has passed Ray Riddell, and all hell has broken loose, because now it's a battle for second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth position, with everything having gone on. And the biggest loser here is Richard Coxon, who's dropped from third to sixth position. So this will be interesting to watch. Oh, and here he comes, looking up the inside and bridge. Don't think he'll be able to do anything with it, and he isn't. Always up ahead. Ray Riddell is, I think, contacting Ois sideways and loses a lot of momentum. Ooh, a bit of contact from Coxon to Riddell's rear end. I don't think Riddell will give up the position, but he may very well have done here. Yep, he does, because Coxon goes for the apex. So Yves Placé is shuffled back one position, as is Ray Riddell being shuffled back two positions. So suddenly it's all been reshaped in the space of one lap here. But all of this allows Peter Blom to maintain a gigantic lead of probably up towards 10 seconds now. Yep, just above 10 seconds is the gap. But the battle for the rest of the top 5 is definitely on. Although it's a bit of status quo at the moment, so let's look a bit further down. 7th currently for Juha Boos in a fight with Matthias Weber. 9th for Miroslav Havlik, and 10th overall is David Saber, the leader of the privateer class. As right behind here we have a three-way scrap for the rest of the privateer placings, with Watman, Chapman and Hansa Mild. I think Hansa Mild is leading this line of cars indeed, with Ray Riddell having dropped back quite a bit. We can see sitting just behind these guys. Let's just have a quick look. Richard Wilkes having been in the pits to serve a drive-through or stop-and-go penalty, I'd assume, with a jump start. Svenja Tits is a bit behind, as is Peter Lavac. I think he was the BMW headed for the pits at the start of the race. And out of the race is Alan Forster and Ivan Anderson, unfortunately. But here we are, back into the battle for the rest of the top 5 and 6th position. Or Jakob Fredriksson runs a little bit wide, as is Ray Riddell. Coxon looks up the outside of Fredriksson going down the main straight here. Looking up the inside now, going down to Copse. And he's up the inside and he's going through. Can he hold it inside the curbs? He can indeed. So that means he is up into third position, as Ray Riddell is also looking up the side of Jakob Fredriksson going into Maggots, but he backs off. As Ray Riddell gets very sideways through Beckett, Yves Placé is forced to leave a little bit of room, but I think Yves Placé should possibly have Ray Ridal here. Sorry, Grant Ridal going down into Stowe. Oh, but we can see the engine power in that Volvo really powering him ahead of the BMW down the straight, but the inside line is enough for Yves as he goes up into 5th position. So this is definitely a nice little scrap here to allow us all to be entertained in this second race. I do apologize to those battling a bit further down the grid. This fight here has championship implications as such, especially the fact that Peter Blom currently is having a massive lead, and Richard Coxon will obviously want to finish as close behind him as possible, laying 3rd in the championship. As mentioned earlier, this is Gregoire Guassin's car, who was 1 point behind Peter Blom before this event, but who is unfortunately not racing with us tonight. But fortunately, Grant Ridal is driving his car and doing a really good job so far. Although he runs very deep into cups and loses a bit of momentum and time to the guys ahead. Oh, as Ray goes up on 2 wheels, has to shortcut Beckett. Loses a bit more time. Noticed up ahead, so we'll see if we can see if there's a move going on. But here comes Yves Placé up the inside of Jakob Fredriksson. I lost space of where Fredriksson is. He's there, who was behind the pillar of the window there. He was able to hold on, and up ahead we can see a bit of a scrap going on for second OS. Fredriksson is up on 2 wheels. Just about is able to hold on to it. Placé is trying to get a good run out of club. Looks like he has a bit of a run. Looks up the inside here, going into the Abbey chicane. But Fredriksson is really late on the brakes and holds on to 4th for the time being. And Jan Titz is holding on to 2nd up ahead. Oh, but looking up the inside just a little bit, going into Priory, is Yves Placé yet again on Fredriksson. And this brings Ray Ridal right back into the battle, and it looks like behind Matthias Weber has been able to get by Juha Boos. So maybe he'll be able to catch up to these guys as well. Actually, Richard Coxon has a run on Jan Titz here, going into Maggots. As Jan Titz yet again has to concede a position going into Maggots. Oh, but he's looking up the inside. Oh, he hits the curb. Oh, he's off. He's spinning. Oh, dear me, he goes into the path of everyone else. Jakob Fredriksson contacts him and unfortunately rolls over. Oh, dear me, that was very unfortunate indeed. Let's see if we can see what happened on board Jakob Fredriksson here. You can see Jan Titz having a bit of a moment there. Oh, but he rolls right into the path of the guys behind. Unfortunately, Jakob Fredriksson rolls it, and he's still upside down. Maybe hoping that someone would be able to help him. Unfortunately, Jakob Fredriksson is out of the race. That's a very sad ending to his great race up until that point. That elevates Richard Coxon into a massive lead for second place in the race. As right behind, Grant Ridal was running wide in club. This gives Yves Placé a bit of a chance to maybe capitalize and go up into 3rd position. looks like the tight entry line is actually... Yves goes up the inside in Brooklands and goes by Ray. It's difficult to keep the two Ridals separated. Grant then goes up into third position. That's a very nice opportunistic move there. But again, Blom is streaking away with the lead here, being on his 10th lap out of 15. And equally, Richard Coxon has a massive lead, but the battle for third is still on here between Placé, Ridal and Tits, who's closing in on these two. And it looks like Matthias Weber is also closing in ever so slightly on this battle group. And the more they fight, obviously, the faster Weber will be able to close in. And it looks like Yves with the rear wheel drive is getting good runs out of clubs, so one of the more obvious passing opportunities is not a passing opportunity for OS. Yep, Yves was very sideways. This gives Ray a chance to go up the inside and bridge. And he does. Going very sideways, but Yves is still there on the inside. We outbrakes himself though, and Ridal does the cutback. Yves is looking up the inside at Brooklands, but is not able to get by, and this invites Jan Tits to really catch up to these guys now and being in the fray for this third position. As Ray runs wide yet again, coming out of Luffield. Through Woodcote they go to start their, I think, 12th lap of the race. As Ray runs wide, coming out the copse, this gives Yves a bit of a run. Let's see if he can do anything with it. Oh, he does. He's up the inside and he's passed. Can he hold on to it going through this left-hander? He can. Ray Ridal climbs the curbs and through Beckers they go. And let's see if Jan Tits... What am I saying? The Audi is not as quick in a straight line. The Volvo, on the other hand, is very quick. He bolted up right back onto the rear bumper of Yves Placé, but wasn't able to get a good run through this turn. As both Ridal and Tits climbs the curbs, and Tits looks up the inside in Vale, getting very squarely on the brakes, but no contact is made and they get through safely. And Matthias Weber, laying 6th, is doing a good job to try and catch up to these guys, and I think he could very well be able to close up before the end of this race. As Ridal hits the curb very hard, goes very sideways to try and avoid contact with Placé's BMW, and it looks like Placé is struggling a little bit with his rear tires here, being very sideways at places. It almost looks like the same could be said about Grant Ridal's Volvo. As the battle has spread out just a little bit, Matthias Weber is in 6th. 7th currently for Miroslav Havlik, so he's having a good race here in his Peugeot. 8th for Juha Boos, doing another good job for the Ford team here. And 9th overall, and still leading in the Privateer class, is David Saber. And 10th is Ray Ridal, who's had a bit of issues in this race, but still in the top 10, so I think he'll be happy with that. And just outside the top 10 is this battle between Simon Watman, Honza Mild, Mick Chapman, and Richard Wilkes. think Mick Chapman, that should be on our right. It is, as Richard Wilkes splits the two Fords, goes up past them, going into Stove. That's a very opportunistic, brave pass right there. The Fords are still side by side behind the Honda. Looks like Hansa Miller is able to hold on to the position. It looks like Richard Wilkes is definitely quicker than these Privateer guys. It looks like it has spread out even more. Yves Placé is now having a bit of a gap here in third position. Fourth for Ray Riddell still, and he is still being challenged a little bit by Jan Titz. And yeah, so let's continue watching this battle. As Mick Chapman has had a moment somewhere, unfortunately, as Richard Wilkes looks up the inside of Simon Watman to take 11th position overall. And this brings Hansa Mill right back into this battle for second in the Privateer class. Was actually Ray Riddell has made a mistake somewhere. Wonder if we can see. Oh dear me, he went very wide off at Cops. I think he will have hit the inside curb. He did indeed, went up on two wheels. And again on two wheels, out into the gravel and into the wall. That's very unfortunate. He was having a great race here, but that's what can happen at times. Looks like he avoided getting a puncture though, so he should be able to finish the race with 1.5 laps to go. And this takes Matthias Weber up into 5th position and closing ever so constantly on Jan Titz. So he may be able, if Jan makes any kind of mistake before the end of the race, to challenge for 4th in this race. I think that would be just rewards for Matthias Weber, who had a very troubled first race with a few flipovers, which is unfortunately a bit of a characteristic with the short suspension travel on these big curbs. But heading on to the final lap, we have Peter Blom still in the lead. It looks like he's had no issues to contend with, as he is in a massive lead of a whole 16.8 seconds. So he can probably just cruise to the finish here, could almost turn off the engine I think and just roll to the finish from here. That's the extent of his lead. I think he will be very happy with this kind of assault. Richard Coxon is still in second and Yves Placé in third, so he will surely be happy with that after the mistake he unfortunately made in the don't lose it now in the first race. Jan Titz in 4th, holding on to that position from Matthias Weber by the looks of things. Let's get back up to the lead of the race with Peter Blom in his Honda rounding Luffield for the final time, heading into Woodcote and the start-finish line to take his, I think, third win of the championship. So I think he'll be very happy with that. Richard Coxon now rounds Luffield to head into Woodcote and take second place in this race, a first and a second this evening. I think Richard will be very happy with that. Yves Placé looks to hold on to third position ahead of Jan Titz, who's going to finish 4th. Matthias Weber gets a good 5th after his first race antics. 6th for Grant Ridal. Even with that mistake, that's a very good debut to this championship for him. Miroslav Havlik gets 6th, I think. 7th.
User joined
Sorry,
your channel.
8th for David Saber and the win in the Privateer class. So he takes his maiden win in the Total Cup. So he'll be ecstatic with that, I'm sure. And 9th for Juha Boos. And 10th for Ray Riddell in the Renault Laguna. 11th for Richard Wilkes. 12th comes Mick Chapman to take 2nd in the Privateer class. 13th for Hansa Mild, who's crawling towards the finish line here. I wonder what's happened to him. But he gets 3rd in the Privateer Cup. Simon Wattman is off the road. I wonder if these guys might have had a coming together towards the end of the race, because Simon looks to be stuck here. Svenja Tits finished, I think, a lap down, but what about Simon Wattman? Would he be able to finish? I think he should still be classified, but that's a very unfortunate situation if he can't reach the finish line on the final lap. Would indeed seem like. He doesn't even have an engine on, so either he has destroyed the car in an off here, or he's run out of fuel. So that's very unfortunate for Simon, but still he should be classified as 4th in the Privateer Cup and score a good bit of points either way. But with that brings the end of this racing evening, but we'll have a quick chat with Matthias Weber, who has joined us. Good evening, Matthias.
Hello guys, hello Jonatan.
I can see now on the screen that you're trying to help Simon to finish the race. That's very sporting of you.
I hope I didn't get disqualified for this.
I'm sure you won't. So after a
User joined your channel.
So after a difficult first race for you, Matthias, it looks like it finally came good with a 5th place here in the second race.
Yeah, you have your crystal ball right. Went a little bit better, but at the beginning car flipped over again, or almost flipped over.
Oh, that's fortunate that you didn't flip over. Then.
But at least I had some good fights, and the place at the end was very good.
Yeah, I did catch that you were fighting with, I think it was Juha Boos for most of the opening bits of the second race, and that looked like quite the scrap.
Yeah, it was Ray Riddell and Juha Boos. Have you seen what happened to Jakob? Because he was lying there in the ashes.
I did catch it. It was a battle between Richard Coxon and Jan Tits going on a second or so up the road, and Jan Tits looked up the inside between in the left hander after Maggots, and unfortunately hit the curb, went up on 2 wheels, span, and unfortunately ended up right in the way of Jakob, who hit him, and then unfortunately flipped as a result of being hit in the rear by, I think it was Yves Basset, who was right behind him.
Oh, that's a shame.
Oh, hi Peter.
Hi.
Good evening again, Peter. Thank you for joining us, Matthias, and congratulations, Peter, on your win here in the second race.
Second race is so much different for me than the first one. Second race, yeah. I had some pedal problems in the first race, and but the second race I made a good start. I think, I was in the lead after turn 1, and then I just drove away from them all, and I saw Richard Coxon had a giant battle with Grant Riddell in the beginning, so they lost a lot of time. And after like 2-3 laps, I couldn't see them anymore in my rear view mirror, so the second race was pretty good for me this time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
much more easy there, like that, you know, much easier like that.
I can yeah, I can understand that situation for you.
It felt a bit. It felt a bit like Lewis Hamilton in the superior Mercedes, you know, from the last 3 years. You know, if you're in the lead, everybody behind you will, or you can't see them anymore. So easy then if the other guys are involved in battles and you got a clean road ahead of you. And of course, the Honda has a pretty good car on this track, so it's really easy to make a gap like that. But you have to stay focused, you have to stay concentrated, not to flip your car over, like Matthias flipping the car and flipping the car. One little mistake and it can end your race here.
Yeah.
Well then, considering the track we're heading to next, I'd assume you're looking forward to it with some precipitation with it being Knock Hill.
Knock Hill, yeah, I'm looking at the chart right now and it looks like pretty good track for the Honda as well, because not many corners, I think.
Did we drive it before? I don't think so.
No.
Then you're in for a big
Hmm.
surprise. You're driving that track for the first time. It's a great track, but
And a hair point, yeah, I see a hair point, a good overtaking point there. With a lot of hard braking hair point.
yep. Just unfortunate that it's one of the few overtaking spots that's easy to overtake at. All other places you have to be a bit brave and a bit opportunistic, maybe. Matthias.
Very small track as well.
Yes, it's about 1.4 Ks or something like that.
Oh, very small.
1.2 kilometers and 1.26 miles. 2 kilometers is very small.
Yes, it is. And Matthias, are you looking forward to the race or the next event, I should say?
I think so, but I have to look. It's I don't know if I can drive, but I think it should work. Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. Hard braking point. I think that's one thing where my car is not that bad.
I think
I've seen it today.
I think the Nissan should be really good around Knock Hill, to be fair. It has good handling, and as you say, it's really good on the brakes. So
Nissan, I don't know, the Nissan is a pretty good car, I think, but it lacks engine power.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the first race, I've been behind Oyvind in the slipstream and he drove away. I didn't get any nearer. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
the car has potential, I think, because
Yeah, sure.
I can remember Matthias. I can remember Ricard Sunya. Ricard Sunya drove that Nissan.
Yeah, he was.
He was fighting for
miracle
the
of
win
what he
in the
did.
first races, I think. Yeah.
yeah, he amassed 41 points in 2 rounds.
He
Yeah.
still has more points than me, I think.
Yeah, well, he's
Well,
a
maybe-
little bit of
well-
an alien, of course. Ricard. Ricard is a bit of an alien, very fast guy.
Yeah.
Well, you might have passed him after your second race, 5th position here. But any final thoughts to round out the event before we end the broadcast?
It was a shame. I think it's a shame. I don't know. Greg Goyson was missing for the first time, and that completely changed the race for me, of course, because he was my main opponent. And I hope he will be back the next race. It is always nice to fight a guy like him. You know, he's super alien. So.
And Matthias, any final thoughts?
No, I only have to wish better curves on next track.
Okay, well, thank you both for joining me in the booth in the post-race, and Peter for the mid-race chat, and to all of you tuning in, thank you for doing so, and I hope you tune into the next one, which will be 2 weeks away, if I'm not entirely mistaken.
10th of May.
Yep, so 2 weeks away we'll be at Knockhill for round 9, and before then we'll have the Nürburgring 1000 kilometer endurance race, with still a few cars up for grabs if anyone wants to race in that, and on May 17th or something like that, I think, it will be the Indy 500 in the kart 1988 championship, so that's definitely something to look forward to. But for now, thank you very much for tuning in, and see you all later.
Thanks for broadcasting.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for the show.
Yeah,
Yep.
bye.
Bye bye. Yeah, that Indy 500.
Sound muted.
Now, thank you very much for tuning in, and see you all later.
Thanks for broadcasting.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for the show.
Yeah,
Yep.
bye.
Bye bye.